Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Your Spiritual Journey. This is Dr. Bob, and this is the space and the place where we talk about things important to your soul. As always, we ask you to like us, leave comments, maybe even support us on Patreon. All of that helps keep us on the air. And just to let you know, there are a couple slots still open for the Bali trip. So if you're interested, just contact me through our website, yourspiritualjourneypodcast.com, and I'll get you all the information. So today's guest is somebody, I guess I just have to say that I'm energetically excited to have her on the program. Her book just reeks of energy. I shouldn't say reeks. It exudes energy. And it's called Welcome to the Creative Club. The author is Pia Mailhot Leichter. And she's a creative partner, a published author, a certified coach, and entrepreneur. Her path has been anything but ordinary. A recovering nomad, she's reported as a journalist in Sri Lanka, graduated summa cum laude from NYU, and worked as an award-winning creative director for some of the biggest brands in the world. Now, as the founder of Kollektiv Studio, she's uniquely positioned to co-create wild visions and ventures. She's coming to us from Copenhagen, and she recently published Welcome to the Creative Club, a book that challenges everything people thought they knew about creativity. Praised by Google's global head of creative and innovation as life-changing, and by iconic fashion designer Betsey Johnson as a wild ride, this part memoir, part guide invites readers to make life their biggest art project and reclaim their creative power. Now, I have frequently talked about the artist way on this program, and I've led a group through the artist way process and that book. And I have to say that in my head, this book exceeds all my expectations about someone writing about creativity. And if you're a person who loved the artist's way or familiar with it, I highly recommend that you take the next step into this book and Pia's world, because it's absolutely amazing. It's a book that both teaches and reaches. I found myself identifying with not only what she was talking about, but it hit home to the point where I said, that's me she's talking about. This is directed at me. And I think you will find that it's also directed at you. But I'll stop going on about the book right now, because first we'll get into Pia's personal spiritual journey, and then we'll get back to the book. Pia, the mic's all yours.
Well, thank you so much, Bob, for a wonderfully warm welcome. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today. So, from watching your other shows, I'm assuming the first question is, could I share my spiritual journey from childhood to this point in time?
That's it. You got it.
It was interesting because I thought a lot about this question. And the first thing that came to my mind was, oh, where are those moments where I felt like I've touched God, or had these awakenings, or insights, or these like special occurrences or moments. And then another part of me said, that's not my spiritual journey. Is the journey of also being a human, stumbling and fumbling and learning how to be in this world, and exploring like who I am and who I'm not. and learning and falling and doing all of the things that make me human are all the things that make me deeply spiritual. And sometimes in many ways, I feel that the more in touch with my humanity I am, the more spiritual I am. Because I am, what is that expression? I am a spiritual being having a human experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that felt like a more true answer for me, that if my life has been my spiritual journey, even the dark parts, the hard parts, and of course the elation and the joy and like all of it in one. It's not just the moments where I was meditating and felt like I touched something. It was also the times when I was on my knees wondering what to do next. So I don't know if that gives any specific points, but that was really my considered response to that question.
Yeah. Well, let's take you back to childhood and the situation. I mean, because I've read your book, I'll know the answer to these questions, but I'll pretend I don't because the audience will want to know. Growing up, were you raised in a specific religion or spiritual tradition?
Well, it's really interesting because I come from a split religious household, multi-religious household. My dad is Eastern European, New Yorker Jewish, and my mom, born and raised in New York City, and my mom is French Canadian Catholic. She went to school with nuns, didn't have a very good experience with that, would tell me later on that she never understood how people could use fear as a means in which to make people believe.
Yeah.
And that really turned her off, for lack of a better word, on that. And so she found her own spirituality in a lot of different ways, but moved away from religion. So I wasn't necessarily steeped in Catholicism or anything, especially since, my dad's Jewish. So I never really did, and I was never baptized because that wouldn't make sense. I didn't experience a lot of the coming of age Jewish moments because I didn't go to Hebrew school. Like I was really neither of those things. And I think not only split religion, but split cultures kind of left me always wondering like what club I belonged to, because I didn't seem to belong to either club. When I would meet with like my Jewish family, I kind of felt the hint of I wasn't Jewish enough. And then I wasn't French enough. Like it was a strange place to be. Though my father would always tell me that Groucho Marx line, like, I don't want to be a member of any club that would have me as a member.
Yeah.
Which I liked. It resonated. It kind of made me feel like, yeah, I'm a bit of a rebellious outsider, but maybe that's okay. I mean, that's part of my story. Though I spent many years trying to belong somewhere. It took me a long time, maybe even just recently, past 5 years of realizing that like I've always belonged, but to something bigger and to myself. And I don't need to sign up for any club in order to be a part of something. So I think that, but I always did, spirituality was in my home. Like I remember, this might sound like I was a weird kid, but when I was around 7 or 8, maybe 7, I remember having anxiety at night before I would go to bed, wondering like, what is this all about? Like, what is this? Like, where am I? Like, what is this thing? How did I get here? Where am I? What am I supposed to do here? Like confusion, anxiety, like what is this? This life? Like what is this thing? And so I think in many ways there was an awareness of something more, something bigger.
Yeah.
Since I was really, really young, that continued this curiosity, this exploration, I still wonder sometimes, like, how did I get here again? And what am I doing? And where do I go when this all ends? Like, what happens? Like, you must admit the universe has a dark sense of humor. We just kind of get dropped onto this planet, not really having any kind of guidebook or understanding exactly where it is that we came from or where we're going, and also what we're doing here. And I think I felt that sense since I was a kid.
Yeah. So typically, when you grow up in the neighborhood, especially in New York City, I mean, because you're close to your neighbors. Uh, was there a pull from your peers, or in terms of fitting in? Uh, like you said, you have a Jewish father and Jewish relatives, and you were in a Jewish neighborhood, right?
No, I was in the Lower
No.
East Side, Manhattan. Lower
Okay.
East Side, Manhattan. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about New York City. Oh man, I feel it was a real gift, even though it was hard. New York City, growing up in New York in the 80s, is not what it is today, let me tell you. But it's so multicultural.
Yeah.
People from so many different walks of life, so many different paths, so many different stories, so many different cultures, often multicultural, that I think that really softened the hard edges around who am I
Okay.
and why am I not
Yeah.
one thing. And also I moved around throughout my whole childhood and continue to do so as an adult. So that also contributed to this feeling of who am I really and where do I belong? Because when you keep moving
Yeah.
and kind of changing shapes to fit into the new environment that you're in, you can sometimes lose touch with your original form,
Uh-huh.
which also happens. So the environment was softer for me in New York City, especially, and moving in different places.
Yeah.
But I think that feeling of what am I a part of? Who am I? We don't have to call it haunted. That sounds a little extreme, but it followed me for a long time.
Yeah. So you're in New York City, so you're a subway person, like like many in New York. Uh, and I know you had an experience that probably would have frightened anybody from ever taking the subway again. Could you relate that experience and what effect it's had on you and how that's helped evolve uh, your feelings around creativity and taking risks and what that's all about?
Sure. I think I was maybe I was 17, actually. I was 17, something like that, and in love with actually it was a chef. I was a waitressing at a restaurant. I was 17, 18 over the summer, school break, and kind of fell for this older chef who lived way in the Bronx, at the very end of the Bronx in an Italian neighborhood. And I decided to go and see him at midnight for some reason. Without really thinking about the risks at that point in time, because I'm going back, I'm 50,
Mhm.
so that's quite a number of years ago, taking the subway by myself as a minor, basically, going from the Lower East Side to the Bronx. And I remember I'm sitting on the subway and I'm a little nervous, but there are a lot of people, so it's okay. And then slowly, the further uptown we go, the more people start to get off the
Yeah.
subway train until I'm kind of almost alone. And you know, those old rickety subways that start to rock and then the light goes on and off. So you start to feel like you're in some kind of horror movie and the sound of just the train. I'm like, oh my God, I'm starting to sweat a little bit thinking maybe this wasn't such a good idea. Um, and as I enter the Bronx, like still in the subway, a guy comes into the car and he's wearing like a gold grill, you know, in his teeth and chains and Timberland boots and baggy jeans and then I don't remember if I got scared. I kind of felt like, oh, there's someone else here more than anything, but I definitely didn't expect him to do what he did. So he looked at me and he goes, Nana, like you shouldn't be. This is a dangerous time of night and a dangerous neighborhood to be in. You know, what are you okay? And I said, yeah. I guess I'm okay. If I wasn't scared before Bob, I was definitely scared now
Yeah.
because this guy didn't look like he looked like if he's telling me it's dangerous, then I'm really in trouble. And he looked at me and I said, no, well, not really. I guess he could tell that I didn't really know what was going on. And then he pulled out like a Big Red gum
Yeah.
or a Wrigley's and the Big Red. And he's like, here, you should take this. And I said, what is this? And so he said, well, I pulled it out and there was a little razor on one side of the gum. So it was like a hidden little weapon, if you will. And he said, you just keep that in case anything happens, anyone comes on the train, and then you tell them you're with Nieta. And Nieta at the time was a gang, like a gang in New York City, and then he left. Let me tell you, I was, excuse my language, shitting my pants at that time when that happened, because now I was really, really scared, sweaty hands holding a Big Red weird razor thing and thinking, oh my God, what did I get myself into? Am I going to be okay? Lights going on and off. I was okay. I got off the train and was met by my then boyfriend, who I said, I'll never do that again. And why'd you even suggest it? And I was sort of saved by this gang member in a way. And it taught me, so he became my guardian angel in that moment. And it taught me a lot of things about not assuming who people are based on what they look like, and how kindness can, because that was a big kindness. That was his way of trying to protect a young woman who shouldn't be where she was at that point in time, and to trust in the kindness of strangers, and to feel like in that moment I was given sort of the help, or I was being watched over by maybe an unexpected angel. Like maybe, I wouldn't expect an angel to look that way, but in a way, like he was my guardian angel. And so I think it teaches me, you never know what shape or form help and support will come in, and to be open. Also taught me not to take the train at midnight to go into the Bronx, but that's a more obvious story.
Yeah.
And it didn't stop me from taking the subway, but it definitely made me think a little bit more about what time and where I'm going.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that boyfriend didn't last too long after that.
Oh, not at all. That was a short. that was a short relationship. That was the beginning of the end on that trip. Realizing that was like the wrong move. But yeah, no, really, it was a beautiful story to me, a reminder of the kindness of strangers and the unexpected shapes and forms. Help and support and love can come in.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of spiritual journeys, your book has a theme, not a theme throughout, but an experience throughout that references the Trans-Siberian railway trip. And I'm curious about a couple things, I guess, because I don't picture in my mind saying, gee, I'm going to take some time off and go to Siberia. That's like, well, why? Why in the world Siberia? And, that's not only a long trip on a train, but you never know what you're going to run into or who's going to be on that train as you travel, and what it's going to mean for your safety. I don't know. After that subway trip, I'd think even a train trip would sort of set off some alarm bells. So how and why and was it worth it?
Sure. Well, here's the thing. I was 17. I was a rebellious. I didn't leave him. I was kicked out. My mother and I had a loving but tumultuous relationship, and she was going to move again. And there was drinking in the house, and just my also huge teenage rebellion as a child who often parented herself, then feeling like my mom was trying to parent me as a teenager. It was like, well, you kind of missed that boat. So there was a lot of tension. And so I actually left home when I was the summer, like that same year that I was on that train, right?
So where was
I was
home?
kicked out. Montreal. My mom lived, my dad was in New York City, and then my mom had moved to Montreal, which is where she's from. And so I would go back and visit my dad in the summers. And when I was 17, I was kicked out of my house with my mother expecting that I'd come back. She's like, when you're ready to live by my rules, you'll come back. And I remember thinking in my head, I'm never coming back. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. And I didn't know how. I was still in high school. So it was like, I didn't know how I would do it, but I knew that I would find a way. And I did. And it wasn't easy. And that's a whole other podcast. It's a whole other story. But just to get back to your question, I'll skip it. So, but I did. But slowly as I grew older, because the Trans-Siberian, I was 40, okay, or 41, something like that. So that's quite a number of years since the subway trip. But as I grew older, I lost touch slowly with that independent, fierce, rebellious, knowing, trusting part of myself. That girl who knew she'd be okay, who found a way to not only survive but thrive on her own against at times what felt like impossible odds. And I had lost touch with her, and life had become more safe. And I worked as a creative director. I was actually at that point in time one of 3 partners building a creative studio. So a lot of responsibility, a lot of work, in an unhealthy rebound relationship after a very difficult divorce. So I very much started to feel like life was something that was happening to me. And I was just following a script, following a path, doing the thing, doing all the things I felt like I had to do. I think the sense of duty and obligation overshadowed risk and awe and wonder.
Yeah.
And so when I got fired from this partner role that I had poured everything I had into, because I felt very safe in movement, I was afraid to stop because then I'd have to feel the pain of the divorce, feel the pain of being in the wrong rebound relationship, and just sit with myself and ask some tough questions. And so rather, I avoided it through work, which is also something praised from the outside world because, oh, she's productive. She's doing this. That's great. But it was not necessarily the right choice for me. I was avoiding. And so when I got fired, I was forced to stop. I was forced to be still. And it was like the universe put the brakes on the very fast car I was driving, and I got thrown through the windshield, metaphorically. And I was sitting amongst the shards that were my life. Like, oh, whoa. And I saw my fear too there, but I had to face it. And in that moment, when everything felt wrong, when it felt like life had played 52 card pickup with my life and everything was on the floor, I heard a voice within, felt it more than heard it, of like, what if you did that bucket list desire and went on the Trans-Siberian? What if you did that alone by yourself for 4 weeks?
Where do you think that thought, where did that thought come from?
I think at the time, because I did always dream, I dreamt of adventure. So Orient Express, Trans-Siberian, like, adventure. I've moved around all my life, so it felt exciting to me. At the time, I don't think I would have called it my intuition, but I've come to realize that was firmly my higher self, my intuition, whatever name we want to give it, was speaking to me loudly through a felt sense in my body. Like if I felt it so strongly, like this is the thing I need to do.
Yeah.
And there was another voice, of course, which was fear, that was like, what about the work visa? You need to find another job. And I just knew I needed to do something different. That would have kept me moving. That would have kept me in the same place. So I did it. So I listened to that voice, and I mean, everything felt wrong anyway. So sometimes when everything feels like it's been sort of destroyed or nothing is working, I think we can rediscover our courage. Because what do we really have to lose? Right? This point in time. So that was a blessing to rediscover my courage and to rediscover that rebellious part of me. And so I booked the trip from China, Mongolia, Russia. This is obviously a long time before the world looks the way it does today. And that trip reminded me of two very important things that I had forgotten. Number one, of course, I was going to be okay by myself. I don't know. I just had forgotten, you know, and it took me being alone on a train through different countries to realize, of course, I grew up in New York City in the 80s. I've been through stuff. Of course, I'm going to be okay. Of course, I can manage any situation that's presented to me. And I got a chance to experience that again. The second reminder was that, oh, the world is so big and beautiful and filled with so many magical experiences if I allow it, if I step into it bravely, if I open again.
Yeah.
I mean, I met so many incredible people. Once again, kindness of strangers. I met incredible people. I also had some opportunities to see, you know, different things and survive it too. But nothing ever happened. I wasn't scared because I was reconnected with that part of myself that knew she could handle it. And then the third thing that happened on that trip was more of an epiphany. When I was leaning back, Siberia hurtling out the window, and looking in front of me at a Russian guy in a wife beater, cradling a bottle of vodka, punching the steel car door, seeing another guy clipping his toenails on the bunk next to me, smelling sauerkraut and body odor. And I looked back at the scene in my chair, just leaned back, and I said, whoa, I created this. I brought myself here. I creatively directed this entire scene. And we're talking set design, location, supporting actors, script, protagonist, main character, energy, me. I'm not only a creative director at work, I'm creatively directing my life. Life is not only happening to me, I am also happening to life. Huzzah! It was such a profound epiphany that changed, just like a train changes tracks, you know, when you can feel the train change tracks. It felt like my life at that point, with those reminders and that realization, had started to change tracks.
So we have that trip to thank for this book.
That's very true. And for where I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't listen to myself, to that wise part of myself.
Yeah. I have a ton of favorite quotes from your book, but so I'm going to just throw a couple of them out and ask for you to elaborate on where that came from and why you threw that in. So one is, we'd rather feel the certainty of unhappiness than the uncertainty of happiness. And that, I just love that quote so much that it just encapsulates so much in that one short statement. So where'd that come from, and how did you get there, I guess?
I think it came through some of the experiences that I just mentioned, that I was in a place where I wasn't happy, and I had forgot that life could be what life might be, what it could be, joy, excitement, adventure, all the other things. But they lived on the other side of certainty, which is uncertainty.
Yeah.
And certainty can feel very comforting, even though we know that it's also very limiting, because there's nothing to learn. We know where the ceiling is, where the walls are. We know the room we're in. And so it can be extremely limiting. And I believe as human beings, we all have this inner impetus to expand.
Yeah.
And that's so fulfilling. Doesn't mean it's easy, but that expansion is so fulfilling. And certainty can limit us because we can only grow like a bonsai or one of those small turtles. You can only grow as big as the environment you allow yourself to be in. And so we have to be willing to be uncertain, to step into uncertainty, the not knowing, to get out, to open the door and to get out of that room and go, I don't know what's on the other side.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited to find out because I trust myself and life.
Yeah.
I'm ready, or maybe I'm not ready, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I think there's a lot of, I even love the word fulfillment more than happiness, because there's a lot on the other side. Happiness is there, but not always. There might be a lot of other things too. But the fulfillment of knowing that you're actualizing your creative potential. Nothing like it. That's like being alive.
Yeah.
Being in the room is kind of, we're in sedation a bit. Sedation. Maybe that's a good way of putting it.
It makes me think that so many of us chose to come into this lifetime at this particular time in history for that very reason, that we're in a time of chaos. We're in a time of unpredictability. We're in a time of politicians testing the limits and pushing the walls and saying everything you thought was true really isn't true. It's an illusion. And I think that that's fantastic. It's so exciting. It's scary. It can be frightening, but the unpredictability of what's happening right now is making everybody re-examine everything they thought they knew was true. So I guess what I'm saying is that I am grateful for the chaos.
I love that perspective.
That sending us into this tailspin is like, okay, we gotta figure this out, and we gotta figure it out fast, or else this planet isn't gonna last, or at least we're not gonna last as a human race on this planet.
Yeah, we won't. Yeah.
So let's figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think we're at the cusp of that happening. I can feel it. I just have such optimism about the future and about where we're headed. So
that's soothing. When you say that, I just want to add something that comes up for me is when you talk about the illusion as being shattered, the things we thought we knew to be true are actually not true. Well, that highlights that it's all made up by somebody.
Yeah.
Right? It always was. It was a stories about what it means to be American, what it means to be this, what it means. That's stories. And it can be so frightening when we realize, oh my God, it's just a story and it's an illusion and it's not even really true. Well, then if we know that it was created by the people that came before us, then the exciting part is we get to write a new one.
Right. Definitely.
We get to write a new one together because that's creativity. That's the creative process of like we get to choose our illusions. we get to choose what feels real or what we get to do that together. And I think in a time of destruction and chaos, creativity is needed more than ever.
Right. And if you do the research, and I know you're a great researcher because I read your book and seen the research, and it's amazing just to say that the amount of work that's gone into this little book, it's so full of wisdom, it's so full of science, it's full of feeling, it's full of the connection between the science and the feeling. And then every once in a while, you give us a gift of poetry that I just say to myself, well, thank you, Pia. That was the right thing to say at the right time as you take us through this journey. But there are incredible solutions to most of the problems on this earth right now, that people have creatively come up with those solutions. But for a variety of reasons, but mainly capitalist reasons, those solutions are squelched or they're purchased and hidden. But they're out there. And we can solve our problems. I mean, we've created them, and the solutions lie within us. And you know, your book helps me remember that fact, that creativity is the answer. We are creators. We are here to create. That's our job. And you know, if it's not to create individually, it's to co-create with others and with the universe. You know, we do this together. Okay, another quote. Stars died for us to be born. So could you elaborate on that for the audience?
Sure. Well, doing research, because I'm fascinated with the cosmos, because it reminds me of the mystery of being alive. Like, it's so easy to forget that we're on a planet spinning at 1,000 miles per hour across one of 150 billion galaxies. I think that's the recent number I have to check in the observable universe. And wow, what a miracle and how magical that is. But sometimes when we're on our way to the DMV or the grocery store, it's easy to forget. And the moon or the stars can remind us of that. So when I was looking into sort of our origin story, I came across the fact that stars, imploded, and supernovas imploded and exploded in order for us to be created, in order for humanity to exist and to develop. And I love, I think it's Carl Sagan, his quotes on how we are all made of stardust. And if we look back at the Big Bang, how we have remnants of the Big Bang within our bones, within our DNA, within our makeup. And I just find that beautiful, such a beautiful reminder of the magic of our existence, and that we're a part of something that's so much bigger and brighter in many ways, and what came before. And so I think that's a hodgepodge answer where that came from.
Yeah, just that thought and that short phrase, "Stars died for us to be born," and the way that you take us to that point in your narrative is, it's beautiful. It really is. And it reminds me of that old, I guess it's a Zen Buddhist saying, without mud, there is no lotus.
I love that one too.
No,
No mud, no lotus.
yeah.
Yep. And I think that that's a beautiful reframe as well. You know, the role of destruction, the role of pain sometimes too, but of joy. It's not all, it doesn't always have to be pain, but when we're talking about mud. So the
Yeah.
role of that in our growth and in our own evolution and who we get to become next, because we get to choose when we're in those shadowy moments of the soul, who we want to be and who we want to become, because we're no longer the same. There's
Right.
some transformation that has happened. We can either resist it or we can unfold into it, open to it, and allow the mystery to unfold. I think I used it as a quote in a book. One of my dear friends I interviewed for the book, Heather Rush, she's a neuroscientist, PhD, and she's also an avid Vipassana meditator. And she would go to her mentor at the time at Vipassana when she would have worries or anxiety about if what was coming or how to do this or the future, anything. And he would always respond with, "Let the mystery unfold."
Yeah.
And that really stayed with me. And it's back to uncertainty again. And can we let go of the reins, which is the mind, really trying to solve and figure out and know, to allow the mystery to unfold, which is a creative process in and of itself. It's a co-creative process. We are creating with the universe. We, of course, are creators, but we're not creating alone.
Right. Right. Okay, one more and then
I
I'll
brought
get
in my own quotes.
I'll get off this. Well, no, there are a couple. What, the one where you said you quoted somebody and said, "Leap and the net will appear," and that's our good friend Julia Cameron.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. That's
Yeah.
back to also, see, all of these quotes in many ways point to the uncertainty and the mystery and really flowing with life and remembering we're here for a very limited time in the scheme of things.
Mm-hmm.
So why not move towards the things that pull us and make us feel warm, to quote Martha Beck, in the direction of what feels true and dreamy and right for us, even if we don't know what it will be or how it will unfold.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the essence of creativity. We don't know. When we sit down to create something, anything, it could be a off-the-cuff recipe or an email or a piece of writing, or it could be anything. We don't know what we're going to create from the outset, right?
Yeah.
Like if we knew, it wouldn't be very creative. Well, now would it? If we knew what it was we were going to create, it's not. There's a newness. There's an excitement. There's like, okay, let's see what this is going to be like.
Yeah.
You know. And then we open ourselves to the mystery, to the possibility of the uncertainty, because uncertainty is the realm of knee-knocking angst, but it's also the realm of infinite possibility, because we don't know. Anything can happen.
Right.
So if we can lean into the excitement of that and not the fear or anxiety of it, I think so much, we can create so much from that space, because we're out in the big field of possibility.
Well, and the other thing is, whether we're conscious about it or not, we are creating every day. So why not create consciously versus unconsciously?
That right there, that is such a powerful statement, Bob, one that I believe wholeheartedly. One of the reasons I actually wrote the book is just as a reminder that we are creative. We are already creating. How about we start to do it consciously?
Yeah.
Love that.
So whatever you do, don't die with your magic inside you. Someone out there needs exactly what only you can create. And that's just so true. You know, you are unique, and what you create could have only come from you. So, and somebody needs what you've got. So give it.
And so your job is to get closer to you.
Yeah.
Get closer to that unique signature, unique flavor of who you are.
Yeah.
What you're drawn to, what inspires you, what excites you, what triggers you, what motivates you, what stops you, what ignites you. And really listening and getting in touch with that, because that's the unique magic.
Yeah.
Right there. And then having the courage to share it. That's the next part.
So I'm really into synchronicities, and I have to mention one to you that came about this morning. So I'm going through your book last night, and I fall asleep reading your book, but that doesn't mean it's boring, folks. It's exciting. It was just late. Anyway, so I have you on my mind, and this whole Trans-Siberian Railroad thing. And it makes me remember, my wife and I hosted a student from Siberia through the Rotary Club. We host international students, and we enjoyed doing that when our kids were of a certain age that they could appreciate having somebody from another country live with us and learn from them. So it made me think about her, and it took me a while to remember her name because this was, 17, 18 years ago. And her name is Anya Torakova. She was from Yakutsk. And I don't know if that's a town you went through, but, and she now works in Moscow. But as I was thinking about her and trying to recall as much as possible about her, one thing that stood out was that she loved Heinz ketchup. That was something she could get in Russia. And she would make ketchup sandwiches or just squirt the ketchup bottle in her mouth directly because she just loved ketchup. And to find out that she was coming to Pittsburgh, which is where we are, and that's where the Heinz plant is, that's where that's where Heinz ketchup was made. She was just really excited about that. So this morning, I'm still thinking about her, and I mentioned that to my wife. And then we get notification from Facebook that today is her birthday, which which was just synchronistic in that, it popped up that it's her birthday. So I'm going to have to reach out to her again.
How beautiful. Anyway. Sounds like you know what the gift should be. A box of Heinz.
Right. Okay, so I'm just obviously enamored of your work. And I have this question because you haven't dealt with this yet. And that is, how did you get to this beautiful job for a while in Denmark?
The one when I first moved here, or?
Well,
the one I have right now.
What moved you there to begin with?
Okay.
What got you there? What was that transition?
So as I mentioned, I'd moving around most of my life. Like I went to 8 different elementary schools and high schools combined. So
Yeah.
my mom just liked do-overs. It's kind of how she operated. Okay, next, what's next?
Uh-huh.
And so I continued that pattern. And so I was actually in London for 4 years. And before that, I was in Bahrain. Before that, I was at NYU. So anyway, I was in London for 4 years. And I had a job opportunity pop up here. And then I got headhunted. They flew me over, and I came to Copenhagen. And I remember it was really cold. It was 15 years ago. It was in 2010. And I never thought it would become home. I thought it was just going to be the next adventure for a few years, and then I would move someplace else. And I remember it's a beautiful place, and colorful rows of houses and calm and great for my New York nervous system. It's a very relaxed, safe place. So there's something that felt really resonant to me when I was here. Also a different pace of life. People, I think it's a cliche by now, but what is it? People work to live. They don't live to work. So it's different. But I did bring my American work ethic is really encoded in our systems, intergenerationally, I believe. I never realized how hard it was going to be. Shake. I remember I would work late at the agency, and I worked with the first creative agency I worked with, advertising marketing. And I had a colleague who was Canadian, and when I would stay past 5:30, he would come over and say, "Hey, you moved to this country, so you didn't have to work like you're in America. Go home. Like, you don't have to stay here. No one does. Why would you?" Of course, when we had pitches and other things, we stayed late, but generally people would leave pretty early and do what they need to do to be there for their families. So back to your question. So I moved here with my first husband. And for many reasons, a lot listed in the book, just realized we don't want to take too much time on this, but our marriage didn't last, in Denmark. And I remember at that point wanting to move. It's like, okay, it had been 3 years. That didn't work. Everything was falling. I felt once again things were falling apart. And I went into my therapist's office. Luckily, the best thing that came out of my divorce was my therapist. Another one of those intuitive, big, it wasn't even a nudge, it was a shove. Like, okay, I think it's time to look at myself here.
So that's the very first time you ever had therapy?
Yep.
Okay.
Very first time. And I've been with her ever since, so well over a decade. Her name is Christina. She is also a guide, and I believe such an important part of my growth and my journey. Anywho, so I met her for the first time, and after my divorce, and I was a real chaotic mess. And I remember thinking, like, okay, I think it's time to move to Paris. I have a job opportunity. I'm ready. Let's go. And she looked at me and said, "Yeah, you could move, and you could keep moving every couple of years for the rest of your life. And I'm not judging that. That would be one way. Or you could learn how to stay and develop a deeper relationship with yourself, and with a place, with other people." And more than that insight, that reflection, what she gave me in that moment was something I didn't realize I had, which was a choice.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was on autopilot, when we're in pattern, so kind of deeply ingrained, I was not aware that I was just playing out in old patterns, an old pattern of let's go, didn't work, let's go. And she also reminded me that the real adventure for me was staying in a place.
Yeah.
Because I knew what it was like to leave.
Yeah.
So that's what I made the choice to learn how to stay. And I did. It's 15 years ago, so I can say that.
And here you are. Okay.
Here I am. And if I would move now, it would be from another choice. a grounded, it wouldn't be because I'm running from or to anything, which is often why I was moving in the
Yeah.
past. But it would be an active choice of like, oh no, I'm ready to do something a bit different.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's really empowering. And I think sometimes we can forget we're at choice. Always. We're
Yeah.
always free to choose how we respond to any
Yeah.
given circumstance we're presented with. And it
Yeah.
can just be, once again, easy to forget.
All right, let's put in a plug for your business because it's only fair.
Well, that's very nice of you, Bob.
So why do people come to you? What is it you offer? Because obviously, I wouldn't say obviously, but the reviews are in, and you do good work, and people appreciate you. So, what is it you do, and why on your website does it say book a chemistry call? So, there's a couple questions there, but
Okay. Well, I'll begin. I work with people who do things differently to make a difference. So they have a little splash of rebellious energy and desire to create an impact in the world. And people come to me because they're looking for a creative midwife. There's something that they want to make real or birth into the world. It could be a business, it could be an art venture, it could be anything we can think of, really. But usually it looks in the form of some kind of business or venture. It could be art or creative venture. And we work together. There are two different ways of working with me. One is first to identify what it is that they're really yearning to create, and then to work on who they need to become to create that thing.
yeah,
So it's a combination of coaching and creativity. So also using my experience working as a storyteller and brand builder for 2 decades to actually help bring that to life. But there's also a very important coaching aspect of the work, which is, who do you need to become in order to do that? Because often we really get in our own way. So
yeah,
it's not only identifying what it is, but it's like, what do I need to do in order to allow myself to create that?
yeah,
What do I need to step into? And then on the other side, I also work, sometimes people or companies, brands, executives will come with like, I need help to channel this energy and tell this story in a powerful way that engages with people. And then of course I can help them do that. So I tailor creative journeys based on the human in front of me. And that's why we have to book a chemistry call because we have to see, are we energetically aligned? Does it feel like a good partnership? Does it feel, because usually you can tell. You can tell, I think as humans, we can tell pretty quickly if we're an energetic match for the work. And that's extremely important because for me as well, and
yeah,
for the phenomenal humans I work with, because that's when we're able to do real transformative work.
yeah. So do you have a list of people you refer people out to if you say, well, I don't think we have a fit, but this person might be a better fit for you? So
Definitely.
you do those kind of referrals too?
Absolutely. It hasn't happened that often, but when it does, I don't leave people hanging. I support them to find if in any way that I can.
Right, right. Okay. Okay, so if someone wants to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Kollektiv.studio. It's the best place. That's where you can book a chemistry call.
Okay, spell collective for the audience.
It's actually spelled in a Danish way. So it's KOLLEKTIV.studio.
Okay. I will also have that information on my website under resources. So If you didn't get that and you don't want to watch this episode again to get that, you can go to the website. All right, at this point, we've run out of time. And at the end of every episode, since you've watched a couple, you know that we do this. I'm going to ask you to leave the audience with a few words of wisdom. This book is full of them, so I have high expectations.
Okay. Well, I'm going to leave people with an invitation. So if you were to creatively direct your next scene in your life, what might that be? And here's what I mean by next scene. That could mean for me, for example, putting on my favorite Lola Young song on my kitchen speakers and dancing in my red lipstick and my Rolling Stones t-shirt while drinking matcha latte, my favorite, and really creating a scene, a moment that answers the call of what I feel like doing and creates a moment in my life. And it might seem quote unquote small, but in that act, you're embodying your role as a creative director of your life. And you're showing yourself that, of course, that's possible. And that you can do that again in any different way for the big and for the small. Just getting in touch with what might I want to create next? And then doing it.
Okay, well, audience, as always, take what you've heard and whatever resonates with you, incorporate it into your life and put the rest on a shelf until you're ready to deal with it. And until next time, this has been your spiritual journey.